Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be back.
Today, we're diving into something really core to sounding natural in English: idioms.
Yeah, those tricky phrases that don't always mean what the words suggest. They're everywhere.
Exactly. And our goal today isn't just to give you a list. We want to unpack why they matter so much for fluency and look some practical ways you can actually learn and start using them.
Making that leap from just understanding them to actually, weaving them into your own conversations, that's key.
So let's start right there. What exactly is an idiom, fundamentally?
Okay, so the basic idea is an idiom is a phrase or expression where the meaning, well, it isn't what you'd expect just from looking at the individual words. It's got a figurative meaning.
Right, a meaning you kind of just have to know.
Precisely. And the classic example always helps. It's raining cats and dogs.
Yeah, if you'd never heard that before, you'd picture, well, something pretty strange falling from the sky, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. A very bizarre image. But of course, it just means it's raining really heavily.
And that gap between the literal picture and the actual meaning, that's the heart of idioms, isn't it?
That's exactly it, that figurative leap.
Okay, so we get what they are. But why should language learners really focus on them? Why are they presented as being so crucial?
Well, a huge reason is that native speakers use them constantly. I mean, really, all the time.
Everyday chat, you mean?
In everyday chat, definitely, but also at work, in emails. You hear them in movies, read them in books. They're just woven into the language.
So if you want to understand people easily and kind of fit in conversationally.
You pretty much have to get a handle on idioms. And beyond just understanding, using them yourself, that's a big step towards sounding more natural.
Less like you're reading from a script or translating in your head.
Exactly that. It helps you blend in, sound more, well, fluent. It also lets you express things more vividly sometimes.
Like emotions or tone.
Yeah, nuance, humor, emphasis. Sometimes an idiom just captures a feeling or situation perfect in a way literal language doesn't quite manage.
So using them correctly signals a deeper level of comfort with English. Like you've gone beyond just the rules.
Definitely. It makes you sound more confident, more engaging. It shows you've grasped some of the cultural layers of the language, too.
Okay, so the message is clear. If you want to sound less like a textbook and more like a natural speaker, idioms are something you really need to pay attention to.
They're sort of essential tools, not just optional extras.
Right. So let's look at some common ones. You mentioned some high-frequency examples we should probably break down.
Yeah, absolutely. These are ones you're likely to hear pretty often. Let's start with break the ice.
Okay, break the ice, meaning?
It means to start a conversation, usually in a social setting where maybe people don't know each other well or things feel a bit awkward.
Ah, right. Like the example given, I told a joke at the meeting to break the ice.
Exactly. You're breaking through that initial stiffness or silence. The image itself, physically breaking ice, it's quite different from starting a chat, but it captures that feeling.
It does, yeah. Okay, what's next?
Hit the nail on the head.
Okay, hit the nail on the head. And that means?
To be exactly right about something. To say something that's precisely correct or accurate.
Like you really hit the nail on the head with your comment in class.
Perfect example. It's usually about getting something intellectually or verbally right.
Interesting. You wouldn't use it for literally hitting a nail well, though.
No, not really. It's almost always figurative.
Yeah.
About comments, ideas, analyses, that kind of thing.
Got it. Okay, number 3.
Bite the bullet.
Ooh, that sounds unpleasant.
It usually is. It means to force yourself to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've probably been avoiding.
Like the example. I finally bit the bullet and called the dentist. We've all been there.
Haven't we just? Yeah, the image is quite strong, supposedly, from soldiers biting a bullet during surgery without anesthetic. It really conveys enduring something tough.
That makes sense. Okay, number 4 is under the weather.
A very common one. It just means feeling sick or not well, usually mildly sick.
Right, like, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. Might take it easy.
Yeah.
It's not usually for serious illness, is it?
Generally not, no. It's a softer, more common way to say you're feeling a bit off, a bit unwell. Doesn't really have any connection to actual weather anymore, whatever its origin.
Good to know. Okay, next up, spill the beans.
This means to reveal a secret.
Ah, like when someone says, come on, spill the beans. What's the big surprise?
Exactly that. Often used when you're kind of impatient to hear the secret information. The image of beans spilling, well, it's a bit random, isn't it?
Totally random, but memorable. Okay, number 6.
Once in a blue moon.
Meaning something happens very rarely.
Precisely. Very infrequently. Like,
Yeah.
he only visits us once in a blue moon.
And a blue moon is a rare thing, astronomically speaking, sort of.
It is, yeah.
Sure.
The second full moon in a month or something like that. So there's a faint literal connection to rarity, but really, you just need to know the phrase means very rarely or hardly ever.
Gotcha. And the last one on this list?
The ball is in your court.
Ah, okay. Meaning it's now your responsibility or your turn to take action or make a decision.
Exactly. Like in tennis or volleyball, the ball's on your side. You have to play it.
So the example, I've done all I can, now the ball is in your court, makes perfect sense. It clearly signals a handover of responsibility.
It does. It's really useful in lots of situations, not just sports, to show whose turn it is to act next. Very clear, very concise.
Okay, those 7 are great examples. They really show that non-literal nature, but just knowing the definition isn't enough. How do you actually learn to use them?
That's the crucial part, isn't it? Moving from passive knowledge to active use. And the big thing emphasized is context.
Context, context, context. You can't just throw them in anywhere.
Absolutely not. You need to understand the situation, the formality, who you're talking to. Is it appropriate? Does it fit the tone?
So knowing when to say I'm under the weather versus just I'm sick is as important as knowing the meaning itself.
Precisely. And then comes active practice. Things like, well, flashcards can work.
But maybe not just idiom on one side, definition on the other.
Right. Better to have the idiom than on the back, the definition and a good example sentence showing typical use, maybe even a note on formality.
And keeping a notebook.
Yeah, jotting down idioms you encounter maybe from a conversation or a show with their meaning, and then trying to write your own sentences using them.
Ah, applying it to your own life or potential situations.
It makes sense.
It forces you to think about how you would actually use it. And then, of course, review, repetition, the usual stuff for learning vocab.
Mm-hmm. And what about using media, like watching shows?
Oh, that's huge. Watching movies, TV series, YouTube videos, preferably with subtitles on. It's like seeing idioms in their natural habitat.
And the advice is to pause when you hear one?
Yeah, exactly. Hear an idiom, pause it. Check the meaning if you need to.
Yeah.
But the key thing is then to actually say the phrase or the sentence out loud. Try to mimic the pronunciation, the intonation.
So you're connecting the sound, the text, the meaning, and the context all at once.
You got it. It really helps internalize it. And it's interesting that these aren't just for casual chat. They pop up in professional settings, too.
They really do. People might think idioms are too informal for work, but some are incredibly common, like, oh, let's get the ball rolling on this project. You hear that in meetings all the time.
Meaning, let's start.
Yeah, let's begin. Or saying, we're on the same page in an email or discussion.
To mean we agree or we understand each other.
Exactly. So they can actually be quite efficient and add a touch of sort of collaborative feel, even in professional contexts.
So they can add warmth or maybe humor or emphasis.
Definitely. Think about saying, he really hit the nail on the head versus he was correct. The idiom often carries more punch, more feeling, or I have to bite the bullet, conveys that reluctance and difficulty much more strongly than just I have to do it.
It adds another layer of meaning, doesn't it?
It really does. Those connotations are important.
So it sounds like the emphasis is really on doing something with these idioms, actively practicing.
Absolutely. It mentions things like mini quizzes you can do for yourself, using those same idioms like bite the bullet or under the weather as prompts.
Prompts for what?
For you, the learner, to actually create your own sentences using them. Say them out loud. That's the bridge to active use.
Moving from just recognizing them to actually producing them yourself.
That's the goal. And pointing towards practice resources like PDFs or exercises just reinforces that idea. You need consistent, active engagement to really master them.
So wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems to be that idioms aren't just, quirky extras in English. They're presented as really fundamental for sounding natural and fluent.
They absolutely are. Consistent practice, noticing them, trying them out in your own speaking and writing, even starting small. It makes a real difference in how fluent and confident you sound over time.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It makes you think. If it's sounding truly native-like depends so much on these phrases that often defy literal logic. Maybe mastering a language is less about memorizing rules and more about immersing yourself in recognizing these ingrained patterns.
That's a great point. How much meaning is actually carried in these culturally embedded phrases that you just kind of have to absorb through exposure and use? It does suggest immersion and pattern recognition play a huge role.
Something interesting to ponder, for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Hope you found that useful.
If you enjoyed this discussion and want to continue improving your English, Please do like this video, share it with anyone else who might find it helpful, and subscribe to the channel for more insights.
See you next time.